or he's not Lord at all. And so that's when I said, God, I give up. Just come into my life, change my life, turn me around. And I literally went out to Texas for about 3 months and just went through intense discipleship. And that began just a process in my life where I ended up coming back to Auburn. Even though my fraternity was one of the wildest, roughest fraternities at Auburn, God led us to start a Bible study. We ended up starting a Bible study there that at one time had up to 35 people, even people from outside our Bible study. That was my ministry training, really, in a lot of ways. And one of the reasons why it was me, because I'd grown up in listening to people preach in my grandparents' church, and I was the only one that had anything to say. But it's usually like 5 minutes, and then I'd run out of stuff to say. And then I graduated from college, and some things that happened in my life that caused me to just surrender once again, even deeper. And when I did that, God just flooded into my life in such a way. I was experiencing great emotional pain, the greatest pain I've ever experienced in my life. And in that, I just ran to him, sought him. And it was such a powerful experience that I would be at my office, and everybody else would go to lunch. I'd pack a lunch, so I'd just go spend time with God. And I'd spend an hour with him and just couldn't. It was the greatest thing of the day, just to spend time in his presence, talking to him, hearing from him. And I remember one day I was still in that intense emotional pain, and it hurt for 2 months right here in my belly, to the point that every time I was awake, it just hurt. It hurt. And I remember just crying out to God and saying, God, I can't take this anymore. Please take this away. And it went away instantly. I was screaming in my car, but the windows rolled up. And the pain went away, and it was like, wow, that really worked. And for about 30 minutes, then it came back. And I said, what was that? He says, I'm not through yet. I'm not through with the process. And I remember at that time that I was really lonely. I moved to Atlanta, didn't know hardly anybody. I was missing college after 6 years. It was a hard transition. And I made my meal that night. I heated up some stuff. And I sat down to just give thanks, and the presence of God just flooded the room. And I fell out of my chair, just on my knees, just weeping, because his goodness was just overwhelming to me. And I share all that to tell you that there was just a point in time that I just said yes. Whatever it is, wherever you call me, whatever you want to do with me, I don't even have a right to decide what I want to do anymore. You purchased me, you changed me. I'm alive because of you. I'd be dead if it wasn't for you. I literally believe I would be dead if it wasn't for God. I was self-destructive in so many ways. And he just came in because of that. He deserves everything. And so I just began to give him everything. And so I graduated from college. I was working for a large Japanese construction company in Atlanta. But I didn't even care about that. All I cared about was God. And I heard about this missionary to Mexico. There was this Rambo, crazy, wild missionary. And I said, that sounds like something I'd like to do. And so I go and meet the guy, and then go down and take a trip to visit him. And I come back, and they were about to give me a big promotion at work, and I quit. And it was a process about 1.5 years during that time. Right before that, I had met my wife. She had come to a Bible study that we had, and very brokenly said, I'm pregnant. I'm 2 months pregnant. I'm not married. Just broken, humbled. And I remember that night, I was actually kind of dating some girl that was with me, but we prayed for her. And I prayed that God would give her a husband and a father for that child. Literally not thinking it would ever be me. She really wasn't my type. And but God began to do some stuff. And then so fast forward about 3 or 4 or 5 months later, I decided I quit. I'm going to go to the mission field, thinking I'm going to go there in 6 months. And God had other plans. I was praying and fasting for a wife because I didn't want to go to the mission field as a single person. And then all of a sudden, this woman that I knew from church, she has this baby. I just watch her just, going through a pregnancy, and she has this baby, and the first time I laid eyes on this baby, I fell in love with him. He was the most beautiful baby that I'd ever seen. Like my wife says, he didn't look like Winston Churchill. He actually looked like a China doll. And there's a lot of stories to that, but just to say that little by little, and here I am getting ready to go to the mission field, and like, what am I even thinking about a single mom? This isn't typical mission. She was a businesswoman. She was one of the top sales people in the country for Konica business machines. Even on maternity leave, she was the #1 salesman in the United States. And this just isn't a missionary candidate for, And then one day I was talking to her. We started dating very slowly and very cautiously. And one day I'm meeting her for lunch, and I said, I'm going to mission field. I have no idea who would want to go to Mexico and be a missionary. She said, it's not that someone's going to want to go there. It's that someone's going to love you so much that they'll go wherever you go. And I said, bang. So anyway, the child's born. We start dating. Everybody thought we were already married because we had a little child. We go everywhere with him, and it just became a family really quickly. And when he was about 14 months old, we got married. And then 6 weeks later, we moved to the mission field. I think the day we got on the mission field, Carrie got pregnant. And so we didn't want to rush things. And literally, before we've been married for 3 years, we had 3 kids. And so now we just, 2 days ago, we ended up with an empty nest already, which is bittersweet in a lot of ways. And then from there, we went to Mexico. We worked with the Indians in the mountains of Mexico, the descendants of the Aztecs mostly. I've had the privilege of going into villages and that they've never seen a white face in their life. They've never seen a foreigner in their place before. I've seen incredible experiences, miracles, healings that I don't even share with some people because they don't know me well enough. They think I'm crazy. And seen incredible lives transformed all over the world. And so we worked in Mexico for a couple of years, and then God began to put on our heart the country of Cuba. And so I went to Cuba the first time in 1993, and totally unexpecting what I was going to find, but I found a country in chaos. I found a country right after the fall of the Soviet Union where the people were incredibly hungry. You could just say to someone peanut butter and they'd get saved, even in English, But people were getting saved left and right. Churches were overflowing. The place was in just revival. And I said, this is where I'm called. So my wife and I made 3 trips into Cuba, and then eventually the Lord led us to move to South Florida. I thought I'd be living there for 6 months, and that the Soviet Union would fall. The Cuba would fall, the Castro would fall, and it's been 18 years now. But God had another plan in that we were to not just work in Cuba, but literally work all over Latin America. And so I've had the privilege of working in Costa Rica, Honduras, Cuba, Colombia, Peru, Bolivia, Venezuela, Argentina, and it's an amazing thing. Just backing up a little bit, when I was beginning to plan my marriage with my wife, I told her, I said, listen, we're probably going to be poor, because I thought all missionaries were really poor, and I said, but I can promise you a life of adventure and a clean house. And I was thinking a clean house would be a well-swept dirt floor. And God's just exceeded everything that we could ever imagine. And when I decided to become a missionary, I had this intense longing to travel the world, to know the world. And I was willing to sacrifice that. And I remember saying to the Lord, I said, I thought I'd live the rest of my life in Mexico probably. And I said, I'm just giving this up to you. And he said, no, that you don't understand. You're going to travel the world, and I'm going to pay for it. I'm going to send you all over the world because you're going to preach the gospel all over the world. And so I literally have been able to do that. We send missionaries from Latin America to the Muslim world. We have missionaries in Jordan, Iraq, and Pakistan. We've had them in Bangladesh, Morocco, Mali, North Africa. I've been to Morocco. I've been to Iraq. One of our missionaries there has been there 15 years. He just was in my house about 3 weeks ago. Speaks perfect Kurdish to the point that people think he's Kurdish. They don't think he's Colombian, actually. And I had the privilege of preaching in a Kurdish church in northern Iraq about 5 or 6 years ago. And it's just amazing. There's a verse that kind of backs this up. It's 1 Corinthians 2:9. It says, "I have not seen nor ear heard, neither have it entered into the heart of man the things which God has prepared for those that love him." You know, God is such an extravagant God. He's so much greater than we could ever even imagine. He loves us so much more than we can even fathom, because there's no love that we've ever seen on earth that compares with it. There's absolutely nothing. Even the greatest father, the greatest mother, the greatest lover cannot love like he loves. And I think we'll spend all of eternity just discovering that love. You know, in heaven, it's not going to be us floating around on a cloud and just playing harps and all that kind of stuff. It's going to be just constantly being overwhelmed by a wave of God's love, in him just revealing himself to us. We've only begun to scratch the surface of it. And the reason why I do what I do, the reason why I go to the places I go, the reason why I take the risk I take is because he has revealed some of that love to me, and I just want to give it away. I want the whole world to experience it. And that's the greatest call that we have is, you know, I have this saying that I'm blessed to be a blessing. I actually believe in the prosperity of God. I believe he likes to prosper us. He likes to provide for us in extravagant ways. But it's not so that we can just use it on ourselves. It's so that we can then take that and use it to bless others all over the world. And in Jeremiah 29:11 it says, "I know the plans that I think toward you, says the Lord, thoughts of peace and not of evil, to give you an expected end." That's just one of the versions of that. But God's plans for us are so amazing. He wants the best for every one of us. And what happened to me right after I graduated from college was such an intense experience that I couldn't shut up about it. No one's ever told me that I have to go and minister. I have to go testify. I have to go witness. It's like I can't help it, because when you experience God at that level, you can't hold yourself back. You just want everyone to experience the same things. You know. Good morning.
Good morning.
So currently, my wife and I'll just end with this. We live in the most unchurched county in the United States. Miami-Dade County is, just to explain it to you a little bit, my nephew, who just finished 2 years of ministry school, and his best friend moved, and they're living with us this summer, doing an internship. And they came about 3 weeks ago, and the first day they were there, my wife took them to Walmart in our town of Homestead. And I just found out a couple of days ago, they were in shock. When they walked around Walmart, they said, "Where are we? Is this the same planet that we live on?" If you just walk through there, it's such a dysfunctional place. The county we live in is like I said, it's the most unchurched county in America. It's the second, if not the first county in abortions. It's the second county for homosexuality in the United States. 60% of the population is Hispanic. 55% of our county was born outside the United States. And it's a very desperately needy place. I mean, there's gangs in the schools there. We didn't even let our kids go to the school that was 3 miles from our house. And it was brand new, really nice school. They had to travel 30 minutes every day to school because the schools were in such disarray and that sort of thing. And about 3 or 4 years ago, my wife